the main focus of MiUi6 were sort of colors, motion, and content. And so you'll see it sort of immediately. It's a very bright color palette. There's little motions sort of everywhere throughout the UI. For example, like the most common one is unlocking. You'll notice, so MiUi6 you swipe up to unlock, and you'll notice that the whole sort of whole home screen kind of animates in with it. In a really actually nice, and it's not a linear animation. So the animation actually, if you watch it carefully, the sort of laggard apps kind of take in a little bit slower, and it's just I think just a really nice animation. We have other animations like that. All of the UI, like in weather. I'm not sure if there's there isn't a SIM card in here. So as you swipe down through different modules here in weather, you'll see how the other elements sort of animate in. We go further down, precipitation kind of goes down in raindrops, and then the sunrise and sunset clock does the same thing in a sort of sunrise and sunset fashion. That's a really nice one. Another nice one is in clock. So as you swipe through the interface in clock, as you swipe through different screens, you'll see the animations, like you'll see at the bottom here, it's kind of the same sort of staggered animation I was talking about earlier, and then at the top you'll see this sort of morph as we change from alarm to clock to stopwatch and timer and so on. Right, so I actually don't have a clock here, but you can see like in the top, see how this sort of changes. When I swipe to stopwatch, just start this, create some laps here. Okay. Alright, so now this should work. So that's a nice one. Yeah, so we made an animation for deleting apps, and so it kind of just bursts into, instead of just, I mean, deleting is a pretty common action. Whoops. So you'll notice in MiUi6 when you select an app and swipe up here to delete, instead of just getting rid of it, we kind of explode the icon, and the colors of the explosion are actually based on the colors of the icon. So when you get rid of Telegram here, you kind of see these like blue and white ones. We blow up Ghana here. You'll see orange and red ones. You'll also see that the home screen automatically organizes itself. So, for example, if I remove News Hunt, right now there'll be this little hole here on the home screen, and MiUi6 will fill in these apps for you once you uninstall it. So get rid of News Hunt, and then everything else fills in pretty nicely. Notifications is a big feature, so I can show you some of the toggles, what we did with notifications, but it's hard to sort of demo notifications off the cuff. So basically, for every app, we bucketed notifications into important notifications and unimportant notifications. And so important notifications are things we think that you should do right now, right? Like if you have a message from WhatsApp, or you have like a calendar invite, it should tell you, hey, you have a calendar, you have a meeting coming up, you need to do this. And so there are very few apps that are actually considered important. It's largely calendar and then sort of select messaging apps. But all of these are customizable, right? So like, let's say you're in calendar and maybe you don't actually care about your meetings. So here we have the two sort of options. One of them is show on lock screen and in drop down, and that's kind of the high priority notification. So when you get a calendar invite, it'll pop up here. But if you turn it off, now it goes away, and it won't show up in the lock screen either. You can also completely get rid of it and just turn off notifications in the notification shade. The other big thing, which again is hard to demo without getting notifications on here, for everything that is not considered an important notification. So, for example, I think we have on this phone, I think we have Hangouts, right? So Hangouts is considered an important notification. For everything that's not important, you will see it up here, bucketed under 3 dots. So we kind of say, all right, these are unimportant. We're not going to bother you with it, but you have an unread message, and then when you swipe down the notification shade, you'll see it. I can't demo it because I don't have the notifications there. And then it's similar with the lock screen. So when you have an important notification, like for example, if I were to get a Hangout message right now, it would show up here on the lock screen. So the security features are not necessarily new, but they're very good security features. So here, let me go back to the beginning. So I'd say there's two main ones. I mean, obviously there's virus scanning, which is built in, so you can, you have a built-in virus scanner. You can check the system. It checks for every app that you install. Another really useful one is per app permissions. I just gotta make sure it's turned on here. It's not. So you can set on a very granular level what the apps you have installed have access to. So for example, if I go to Facebook here, you'll see these are all the things that Facebook can do. So it can make phone calls, it can send SMS messages, and let's say you don't want Facebook modifying your contacts, you can click on it here. You can flat out deny it, or you can set it to prompt so that every time Facebook tries to modify your contacts, MiUi will tell you, hey, do you actually want to let Facebook do this, and you can allow it. A really common one for that is location. Like there's certain apps that you might, like, for example, maybe you're looking up a place in Facebook that's nearby. You might want to have it know your location, but maybe you don't want it to know all the time. So that's when something like prompt is really useful. And then, if you install like a game that asks for access to your camera or something weird or random, you can set it here. Another unique feature of MiUi is the per app data limits. So it's similar to that permission feature we just talked about, except it lets you control when apps have access to data and when apps have access to Wi-Fi. So this is really useful if you're roaming, but also if you have a limited data plan. You might not want to let things like Gmail. Maybe you only want to let a certain number of things. Like maybe you just want to let Hangout, Hike, and Maps. Like if you get lost, and maybe WhatsApp. And so what this will do is every other app, when it's on data, will not be allowed to use data except for these four. You can also do it for Wi-Fi. So if you're heading home and you don't want to burn your fair usage policy, you can turn off Play Store updating. You can turn off background downloading for various things. Yeah. So the content feature. The easiest way to demo it is Mail, but I don't have a Mail account set up on here on this particular device. Yeah, so the really nice thing it does is most Mail apps will show you a number of different options all the time. Like it'll always have delete, always have actions, I'd say, for your email. But the MiUi6 Mail app just kind of puts the most common action, which is reply, and it lets you start typing a message. And then if you want to, forward the email, you can just hit, the more actions, and it'll, you can forward that message you've already been typing, or reply to the message, or send the message. Another useful feature, which again is hard to demo without a Mail account, but it is smart threading. So it'll let you thread your inbox in a way that's kind of similar to text messaging. So it'll put each mail in a different bubble, organized really neatly. It'll only show you the new, when you click on a new message, it'll only show you the new messages, and everything else will be kind of hidden. So it's a really easy way to read email chains. Yeah, so the attachments, basically it's kind of like downloads is for the system, but it's basically downloads for the Mail app. So it lets you view your attachments for your entire account in one area. So you click on this button and you can see every attachment that you've received from all your contacts. You can see who sent you the attachment. So it's really helpful if you're trying to track down a PDF that you're missing or a picture that someone sent you in an email. You can just, instead of searching for the email, you can just search through everything that's been attached. So that is very useful.
For latest news and reviews of gadgets and games, visit www.techmagnifier.com.